Orleans. Oh my goodness, you have such good food. First up, Cafe du Monde. You cannot go to New Orleans without trying their beignets. With over 15,000 reviews on Yelp, this is the most reviewed restaurant in New Orleans. Louisiana used to be a French territory until it was purchased by the United States in 1803, so there's still a lot of French influences that could still be seen in New Orleans even till this day. Cafe du Monde has a very interesting history. It was established in 1862 as a coffee shop in the French market. It's changed ownership hands a few times over the years, and now it serves coffee, milk, fresh squeezed orange juice, and the dessert that has basically become synonymous with New Orleans, the beignet. These beignets are the best thing that I've ever tasted. It's really no wonder why that with all the restaurants in the United States, that this is the second most reviewed restaurant on Yelp. These beignets have a perfectly crisp shell. They are covered with mountains of powdered sugar, and it has this very nice, chewy, doughy texture on the inside. So these are my tips if you plan on visiting Cafe du Monde. If you see an open table, just take a seat. Some people will start forming a line on the outside even though that's not required. As long as there's an available table, you can just take a seat. Once you're seated, a waiter will come up to you and take your order. Go ahead and place your order. They'll bring your food out to you and then you'll make your payment. But just be aware that it is cash only. Also, if you're still looking for a table, here's another thing to not overlook. Be sure to check on the inside because they do have inside seating and sometimes those tables are empty. If you still don't want to wait because all the tables are full and there's a very long line, they do have a to-go line window and the service is quicker there. Another thing to consider if you end up sitting at the table is that it is customary to tip a little bit, so make sure to save a few bucks for your waiter. And the final tip, make sure to not wear dark colored clothes because the powdered sugar does get all over the place and you're gonna end up looking like a mess. You'll look like a Dalmatian at the end of your meal, so make sure to wear light colored clothes. Another really popular restaurant is the ACME Oyster House. It was established in 1910 and it's also located in the French Quarter as well. The most popular item to get here is the char-grilled oysters. They're saturated in herb butter sauce and they're topped with a special blend of cheese. One tip that I was told was to place the oyster on top of the bread and sandwich it. That was one of the best things that I've ever tasted. Some people also like to get the raw oysters. It's served with lemon and spicy cocktail sauce. I wasn't too much of a fan of the raw oysters. It was a little gritty for my taste, but it really depends on your preference. Another popular item to get at the ACME Oyster House is the fried oyster po' boy. It's $17.49, so it is kind of pricey, but they do give you a sizable portion, so it is kind of filling. Plus, the fried oyster is very crunchy, and the baguette has a very light crisp to it. So overall, I really like the sandwich. Other items that I tried were the red beans and rice and the jambalaya. Those items were so-so. But one item that I liked a lot were the blue fries. It was $5.49, but it was so delicious. Here are my tips if you want to go to the ACME Oyster House. First tip is that the line is going to be very long. If you go during rush hours, the wait times can be anywhere from 25 minutes to 45 minutes. Another tip that's recommended a lot would be to sit at the bar. Customers like to watch the employees shuck the oysters, and supposedly that the service is faster if you sit at the bar. And the final tip is just to be aware that there is an additional 18% gratuity charge if you do have a party of 6 or more. Another popular restaurant is the Oceana Grill. It's also located in the French Quarter. It is just as pricey as ACME Oyster House, but I think the food here is just okay. The most popular item to get here is the Louisiana crab meat cakes, or crab cakes. They are $14 and they're fairly small. One crab cake is about the size of a slider. Here are my tips for Oceana Grill. They do accept reservations, but they do have a lot of tables as well, so the wait time isn't as long as ACME Oyster House. Another tip is that if you check in on Yelp, they do take 10% off your bill. And this isn't necessarily a tip, but they do have several floors, so it is kind of fun to just walk up and down the floors and take a look at all of the decorations because the ambiance of the restaurant is pretty entertaining. The next restaurant is Mother's Restaurant. It's a 10-minute walk south of the French Quarter. The most popular item to get here is the Ferdy Po' Boy Special. It's $13.50, so it is kind of pricey for a sandwich. Mother's Restaurant has a 3.5 star rating on Yelp. I agree with the rating. The sandwich is so-so. It's a sandwich done right, and it's a sandwich done well, but in regards to the taste, there's nothing really too special about it. Here's my tip if you do decide to go. They do have a line typically, but I got my order to go, so that kind of saved me from the wait time. So if you get your items to go, you just go directly to the cash register, tell them your order and pay, and then you just stand off to the side and wait until your order is done and they'll just bring it up to you. Another popular restaurant is Luke. This restaurant is also located about a 5-minute walk south of the French Quarter. It is a higher end restaurant, so I felt out of place just walking in there in my casual clothes. The people who you see in there are all dressed up with full business attire or business casual attire, so that's just one thing to consider if you do decide to go to this restaurant. The most popular item to get are the raw oysters during happy hour. Their happy hour is from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Outside of happy hour, the next popular item is shrimp and grits. The shrimp and grits is very tasty. It has roasted jalapeno cheese grits and andouille and green onion sausage, but because it is expensive, it does make it harder to enjoy the dish. And for the amount that you get, I wasn't even full at the end of the meal. My tip if you go to Luke, you can make a reservation online so you can skip the wait, or you can sit at the bar. Here's a bonus restaurant for you, Majoria's Commerce Restaurant. It's also a 5-minute walk south of the French Quarter. The most popular item here is the CBB, which stands for the Commerce Breakfast Biscuit. This thing is so good. It has sauteed breakfast sausage, jalapenos in a cheese sauce, and that's laid over on top of a breakfast biscuit. And then they place an egg done over easy on top of all of that.